What was your funniest time walking in on somebody in the buff? I work at McDonald's, and one day while I was handing a woman her food, I saw that she was in the middle of sending naughty pictures of herself. When I was living in New Zealand, one night my roommate brought home a guy from a bar, and they did the deed on the couch. It just so happened that the couch was on the opposite side of the wall from my bed, so I heard it all. But that's besides the point. The next morning I woke up to a text from a different roommate saying that there was a clothless guy on the couch. I casually went to the bathroom to sneak a peek, and there he was, all in his glory, passed out on the couch. The roommate who brought him home was nowhere to be found. We later found her curled up on the bathroom floor, also in the buff. And now they're married. The end. That's not how you do a one-night stand at all. As a kid, I always went to summer camp in a different state, and we would often take multi-day canoe trips around the general area. On one of these trips, after a long day of paddling down a river, the trip leader decided to stop on an island and set up camp for the night. As the day progressed, the sunshine turned to rain, and before we knew it, it was a full-on monsoon. As me and a bunch of other boys huddled under a tarp, someone pointed out two people swimming on the other side of the river. We noticed it's two guys and a girl and continue to watch. Before we know it, the girl stands up, revealing she is completely clothless. In fact, all three were skinny dipping. Being teenage boys, we decided to yell and wave at them, asking if they'd like any s'mores, while taking turns looking through the binoculars. We thought they would be embarrassed. However, they weren't fazed by this, and one of the dudes began to swim over. I'll never forget his face as he got closer and realized we were a bunch of little kids. Needless to say, we gave him a s'more. In conclusion, saw an unclothed river girl and fed an equally stark-as man a s'more. I have a similar story. Me and my family were floating down a local river. This place is a real party every day in summer. Anyway, we get to this one corner, and there's this girl flashing both banks of the river. Of course, all the guys yell in appreciation, and here I am, a 15-year-old kid with his parents, heading to the end of our floating trip, and my mum is trying to get my attention. Finally, she says, "Jake, they aren't even a very good bosom." Without skipping a beat, I turn to her and say, "Mom, there's still a bosom." I swear my dad shed a tear when I said that. Sort of accidental. When I was in high school, I lived with my dad. Our house had a pool and a hot tub, and Pops was a randy old hound. He was shooping it to what seemed like all the divorced ladies in my neighborhood. Being single, well-off, and having a hot tub really greased the wheels. Anyway, he and his girlfriends weren't exactly incognito, and after a few drinks tended to come in and out of the house, where I was, in varying states of undress, to use the bathroom and get refills or snacks. Let's just say that I saw many more of my friends' mums than was polite to discuss. Well, at least it made for some decent online trash talk. Yeah, well, my dad fricked your mom. Yet another video where the subject matter requires me to come up with a lot of safe terms instead of the original words, in this case, for the condition of being undressed. Let's see how many I can slot in. I guess it's not really accidental because she dropped hints later that it was intentional, but at the time I thought it was. Went on a date with a co-worker. While waiting for her to get ready in her living room, I could see her full bare figure in the reflection in a mirror on a door. She had a ridiculously awesome body, too. I used to work in an electronics store. We regularly had promo staff and reps in on the weekends to sell their stuff in store. This particular weekend, we had 3 models in promoting some camera or something. Late afternoon, I go into the customer collections room where reserved stock is kept to look for an item. As I'm clearly in there looking for something, these girls burst in and start taking off their branded dresses to change and go home. In shock, I say, "Do you want me to go out?" And they're like, "Nah, it's okay." Then some checkout girl comes in and laughs, gasps, and drags me out. Gutted. Checkout girl just doesn't understand. Becky's a B-word. Oh, she wants to be called Rebecca now. When I was about 6, I was at the ocean with my parents. My dad was playing with me in the breaking waves on the beach. I saw a rough wave wash over this young lady a few feet from us, and it totally swept her bikini bottom off. I couldn't believe it, and no one, including her, seemed to be aware for several long seconds. It was a massive late 1970s bush. I saw it before my dad and pointed and yelled, "Look at the hair!" My dad was up to speed quickly and swept me up facing the other way, as a guy apparently with the woman somehow found her bikini before it was lost forever. She was sitting down in the water when he brought them over and said, "You lose something?" I learned a lot that day. I was on a Mediterranean cruise in summer, so the top deck was filled with people sunbathing. This one lady with rather a large chest was sunbathing with her family, taking off her bikini straps, as some do to avoid tan lines, I guess. Anyway, she accidentally dropped it and I got a full-on view of one of her maracas. She looked around to see if anyone noticed, caught my eye, and gave me a cheeky grin before I looked away blushing. When I was working as a PA on a TV show, we filmed an episode at a fashion show. I spent the evening wandering around backstage getting models to sign releases. Most of them were undressed or half undressed. Best work day of my life. Was working in my fish and chip shop, and just across the road is a bunch of terrace houses. The windows upstairs start on the floor, but I assume the girl had no idea. My mum actually pointed it out to me, and it was a girl in her natural state in front of the window. The guys in the garage around the corner were walking down the street opposite of her window and got an eyeful as well. I later learned she was the sister of a guy I went to school with. Your mum is a bro. This was also one of my top "this crap just kicked in" moments. I was hiking Mount Lafayette and I knew that I was nearing the top. It's a decent hike, so I was pretty beat and ready for a break. On the last climb, I could see a large boulder up ahead that was sitting at the summit. I pushed forward a bit and looked up again toward the boulder. At the base of it was a gorgeous, mostly naked girl squatting down. I thought to myself, well, this is a hell of a reward for the hike. She then proceeded to stand, zip up a full Scooby-Doo costume, and walk over to her friends. When I was a junior in high school, I had a math teacher that was probably in her late 20s or early 30s. One day, near the end of the first semester, she was wearing a dress of sorts. It was in Florida, so it wasn't getting cold at all, and she was just trying to reach something off the top shelf near her desk, when the two straps holding up her dress just snapped, and the entire dress fell to her feet. Sure, she was still wearing panties, but the dress didn't hide bra straps that well. And well, that was nice. I didn't have her the second semester, but from what I heard, she got in some trouble for wearing inappropriate attire for a teacher, and had been suspended for the first month of the semester. I installed security alarms, cameras, sensors, and locks. On one install, I placed a camera in the master bedroom like the husband had asked. While I was still there installing, I was checking the cameras and finishing up the tests, and the wife came out of the bathroom completely naked from the shower. I hastily tried to exit the screen, but the husband, who was peering over my shoulder, told me not to and just stared at his naked wife while I was in between him and the screen. Just to be clear, I did not do the deed with either of them that time. Was at an indoor water park waiting in line for the attraction that simulates surfing, Flow Rider, I think. Well, there was this really cute girl up and she bails face first. Now, if you know these attractions, you know that there's a lot of force behind the water. As it turns out, it's enough force to completely remove a person's bikini, top and bottom. Must have been really embarrassing for her, but I liked the piercings. Not sure if you can say accidentally, but my neighbor used to be a manager for exotic dancers. One day I'm out in my garden and happened to look up at their back bedroom. That's when I discovered where auditions took place. I got a lot of fresh air from that day on. I own an adult nightclub and auditions are at my house. Yeah, that sounds above board for sure. Around 16 at the time, I left my house after my sister and her two friends came over, one of which is just absolutely banging with an amazing body that I may have thought about once or twice anyway. Nobody else was home. Forgot something in my room, so I ran back in, but I guess nobody heard me come in. I walked down the hallway to my room and past my sister's doorway that was open. I glance over and my brain locks me into place mid-stride, jaw hits the floor, while it burns the image of her butt-naked cupping her chesticles. They all look over at me and scream. I can't look away. She runs toward me and closes the door. I ran to my room, took a few minutes to savor what I saw, and left. I was about 10 and we went snorkeling with the group on vacation. This old, unattractive woman popped out while she was underwater. She didn't notice. I couldn't stop staring. First real bosom I ever saw. That was an image I didn't want and it is now burned into my head. Thank you for that, original poster. My sister and her boyfriend were doing the deed. It was hard to tell with the noise. Well, after an hour, I hear her door close and I think, thank God he left. I can take a crap now. I walk into the bathroom and drop my pants in the dark and start to squat when the lights turn on and her boyfriend walks out in the buff, full staff, and says, "Ready for more?" I just stare in shock and he now realizes that I'm not my sister. Just coughs and walks away. I no longer feel safe to crap in my own bathroom. Pull my pants up and just go to bed. Female friend of mine was getting ready for her sister's wedding. She was sending me snaps of herself asking questions like, necklace or no, to me and her boyfriend, and she accidentally sent me a picture of her mammary glands hanging out in the dress she was wearing. Trust me, she didn't intend on sending me that picture. Work at a hotel on the beach. Usually, every night before I leave, I take a walk around the building just to make sure everything is okay, people are quiet, etc. All of our rooms have balconies, but luckily the way our building is set up, you can't see into another balcony from another balcony. Earlier that day, I had a newlywed couple checking in. All went normal then. Later that night, did my rounds and I saw them on their balcony. He's leaning up against a patio chair turned backwards, pants pulled down, and she's sitting on the chair giving him head. Okay, for all purposes that's technically an evictable offense, but I just remembered they're a newlywed couple, no one else can see them on their balcony the way our building is configured, so I just turned around, walked back inside and let it be. At least I knew their marriage got off to a good start, hopefully it stayed that way. During college, I was drunk at a party that ended up moving to a local bar. One of the hot girls in the class ahead of mine came up to me and this other dude. The other dude, I guess, had a bet with her or something, and took her walking up as the perfect time to remind her. He said, "Remember, you still need to flash me." I might be paraphrasing. She gives him an annoyed look and then just flashes the both of us for a good 5 to 10 seconds. Very nice sight, would look again. My wife used to do triathlons, the sprint and Olympic lengths, not Ironmans. She was doing a woman's-only sprint triathlon, and I'm hanging out near her bike waiting for her to return from the swim. First leg of the race. The most experienced athletes bike and run in their one-piece swimsuit. Inexperienced people take the time to change their clothes. There was a woman in her late 20s changing nearby my wife. Obviously new to this stuff, she had planned a different set of clothes for each activity. She had some friends holding up towels to shield her while she changed from her swimwear to her bicycling gear. She got the suit off and struggled to get her bike shorts on over her wet legs while crouching behind the towels. Then she said, "Oh, frick it," stood up bare-chested and proceeded to struggle with her athletic bra. She had a nice all-over tan, I'll give her that much. Walking to school on a soggy morning, saw my art teacher in her minivan changing her clothes. Normally you can't really see into this side of the passenger area windows, because they were all semi-tinted a deeper color, but it just stopped raining a bit earlier and the sun came through the clouds and shined down on the car, lighting it and the area in general up very bright. I could see right into the car window. Mind you, my art teacher was 29 at the time, fit and moderately attractive. Bosom was out for all to see. I was 14 in 9th grade. Probably one of the best days at school followed thereafter. I was in middle school and I was walking behind a girl in high school who was wearing a dress with no panties. The wind picked up when we got off the train and I thought I was the only one who noticed. She didn't even seem to care. Later, I found out that another boy saw it too and we're best friends to this day. I was at my friend's beach house when I was 16. He had a really hot sister that was about 20 at the time. We were watching TV in the living room and she comes in to hang out with us wearing a t-shirt and loose-fitting boy shorts. Looked more like boxers, to be honest. She sat near me and put her legs up in such a way that I had a marvelous view of her lady parts through the baggy leg of the shorts. I tried not to stare, but it was pretty cool when I was 16. The cheerleaders lived across the street from me in college. Every day, my roommate and I would sit on the front porch, have a smoke and wait for the cheerleaders to get home from practice. One would always change with her windows open, and we just sat and watched, thinking she never realized the curtains were open. Then one day, she waved to us and blew us a kiss. Cue the debate. Do we go over? What should we do? What if she just wants you and not me? What if she wants both of us? Former college cheerleader could have been anything. She could have wanted you to come over and do the deed, or she could have just liked showing off her body. Both are equally plausible, mainly because, at times, pulling tail was a game for us too. She probably knew people were watching and she liked it. I dated a girl who would have fun with herself in front of her windows so her neighbors could watch. That is truly disgusting. You should PM me her address so I know to avoid that area. Smoking hot girl going down a water slide. Her bikini top got caught and came off. She had a wonderful chest. My buddy once accidentally Snapchatted his nude to me and our group of friends instead of his girlfriend. Handed the Verizon guy my phone to get it turned back on. Opened Safari and the first thing that popped up was the best pic of my chest to date. We both just laughed it off. Been selling phones for like 10 years. Ran across accidental chest selfies more than a couple of times. It's usually never the kind you want to see. Also worked as a fireman/medic. See many there as well. But they're always like 70+ years old, no good ones there either. Oh frick, this reminds me. When I was doing long distance with my ex, we'd send each other pictures au naturel. She requested pictures of my eggplant quite often. She really got off on those. Well, she selected her favorite picture of my wang and put this as my contact picture, even after I came back from living abroad. I knew it was a bad idea, as it would show every time I rang her. Of course, the upside was that she'd always be down for fun when I rang her. Well, one day at the family dinner table, she's telling everyone how she wants a new phone. Her mum, dad and sister and me were there. Her dad just looks up to me and says, "You reckon she'll install a different contact picture for you on her new phone?" Oh gosh, I would die if that were me. I should also note that yes, the vast majority of these stories are about women rather than men. Then again, since a larger proportion of male indecent exposure cases are received to much less positive responses for a myriad of complicated reasons, perhaps that's not surprising. I was in London and my sister and I got last-minute tickets to see Patrick Stewart in A Life in the Theatre. We had amazing seats, 3rd or 4th row centre. So at one point during the play, Patrick Stewart sits down on a folding chair right in the centre in front of us. He was wearing loose shorts, and his fricking balls were showing through the shorts. They were huge. It was glorious and incredibly awkward at the same time. The whole scene, he's just balls out. I still can't look at him without thinking, "Dude, I saw your balls." When I was in 3rd grade, we had a really pretty, red-headed student teacher. I can't remember her name, but I remember she was teaching us French for some reason. Apparently she spoke it really well. I'm not sure why that would be part of the 3rd grade experience. One day she came over to help me at my desk with something, and leaned on my desk and bent over. For whatever reason, she decided not to wear a bra that day, and right in front of my face, swinging in her dress, were the largest pair I'd seen up to that point. It was glorious. I truly believe that event changed me, and set the type of woman I've been into ever since. It was certainly a formative experience. At a party in high school, my best friend got hammered and passed out in the front lawn halfway through. I was hanging with my other buddy and his girlfriend, who was also hammered, when he decided to go and check on my best friend. He asked me to make sure his girlfriend didn't do anything stupid while he was gone. She flashed me. I failed him. "You had one job, damn it." I was a freshman at Louisiana State University a few years ago, living in the all-male honor dorms. During the first couple of weeks at school, I'd made friends with a couple of girls who roomed together and were friends from the same high school. They had a third roommate because they had a corner dorm and it was huge. All-girls dorm, so I had to be signed in and out. But it was a spacious place to chill, big as it was. So one night, I'm in there with friends hanging out. It's around 7:30 or so. Dining hall just cleared out. So the dorm is packed with girls hanging out and watching TV. And also showering. The alarm goes off, panic ensues as people scramble out of the communal spaces and dorm rooms, and also out of the showers. Positioned as I was at the end of the hallway because the dorm room we were in was in the corner, I saw 8 girls in various states of undress, wet and slippery, from half-dressed to completely starkers, running toward and from me. I'd been at university for a few weeks. I thought this was just the beginning. Nothing but this from here on out, boys. Didn't quite work out that way. But I'll never forget that one night it just so happened to. When I was 8 or 9, being driven by my mum somewhere and staring out the window, in the car right next to us at a light stop, this gorgeous blonde just casually takes off her shirt, removes her bra, then puts a new shirt on. My jaw was on the floor. Mum didn't even notice. I'll never forget it. Winning. I delivered pizza for 7 years. Reddit hardly existed when I finished that job, and while I knew some of the chests I saw were probably dares, that doesn't bother me. I knew it. Brazzers was right all along with the pizza guy gets laid a lot. Some people pay to see women's chests. You got paid to see women without tops on. Think about that. I think my best and worst accidental exposure is the same story. I was in my car with my now husband getting ready to leave the parking lot at Lowe's when we looked up and saw a couple trying to put a carpet on their car. First of all, they were trying to strap a 9x12 rug to the top of a retired police-issue Crown Vic, which was unusual enough. My husband wanted to see how they were going to pull this off, so we stayed in the car to watch the spectacle. They started to unroll the carpet, which is when the girl bent over in her short summer dress. Sans underwear. So I'm 20 feet from a bare snatch in broad daylight in a hardware store parking lot. It was gynecological. To quote Future, she was butthole undressed. Only my windshield stood between her birth canal and the two of us. I think both of us simultaneously yelped with surprise when it happened, at which point my husband remarked, "I can see the bottom of her brain from here." I was dating a twin for a short period of time. They still lived with their parents and shared a bedroom. My twin was taking a shower, so I was just chilling in the living room. The parents were out of town for the weekend, so the twins and I had the house to ourselves. The boyfriend of the other twin would come over at a later point that night, but wasn't there yet. After finishing a show on TV, I walked upstairs to go see if she was finished showering. When I walked into the bedroom, I saw her, naked as the day she was born, and I approached her from behind. I cupped her fun things, big ones, and smelled her wet hair and was about to tell her how nice it smelled when she said, wrong twin. Out of shock, we both stayed like that for 2 or 3 seconds, then I backed off and asked her, Never happened? She agreed, and we've never told my twin. Well, that was almost 10 years ago, and we were only dating for a couple of months, so by now she must have told her, I guess. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories, linked at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot, linked in the description too. Either way, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.